Let me start with something simple but confronting. Every single time you eat, you are casting a vote for your future. Not someday, not when you turn 60, right now. Most people think longevity is genetic luck. They say, my grandfather lived to 90, or heart disease runs in my family. But what science continues to show us is that your daily habits can either activate risk or reduce it. Your fork is more powerful than you think. Food is not just fuel. It's information. Every bite sends signals to your cells. It tells your body whether to store fat or burn it, whether to inflame or repair, whether to age faster or slower. And the scary part? The damage doesn't feel dramatic in the moment. A sugary breakfast doesn't hurt immediately. A processed snack doesn't cause instant disease. That's why it's dangerous. The consequences are quiet, cumulative, and compounding. Psychologically, we're wired to prioritize immediate pleasure over long-term reward. That's not weakness. It's human nature. Your brain loves convenience. It loves salt, sugar, and fat because, historically, those meant survival. But in today's world of abundance, that same wiring is being exploited. Ultra-palatable foods are engineered to override your natural hunger cues. Companies invest millions to make sure you can't stop at one bite. So this isn't just about nutrition. It's about awareness. It's about reclaiming agency. When you begin to see food as either an investment or a liability, everything shifts. You stop asking, do I feel like eating this? And start asking, what will this do for me long-term? That single mental pivot changes behavior. Because when you understand that chronic inflammation, insulin resistance, and cardiovascular strain are built meal by meal, you realize longevity isn't a miracle. It's a pattern. And here's the empowering part. Small, consistent shifts create exponential returns. You don't need perfection. You need direction. Remove the most harmful inputs, and your body remarkably starts to repair itself. Living longer isn't about restriction. It's about respect. Respect for the body that carries you through this life. Because at the end of the day, the question isn't, will this taste good? The real question is, what kind of future am I feeding? Now let's talk about the one ingredient that has quietly infiltrated almost everything you eat: sugar. I'm not talking about the occasional dessert at a celebration. I'm talking about the daily, normalized, invisible sugar hiding in your coffee, your sauces, your healthy yogurt, your breakfast cereal, your protein bars. It's everywhere, and most people dramatically underestimate how much they consume. Here's what makes sugar so dangerous. It doesn't just add calories, it changes your biology. When you consume excess sugar, your blood glucose spikes. Your body releases insulin to manage it. Do that repeatedly, day after day, and your cells begin to resist insulin's signal. That's insulin resistance, the foundation of type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and a major driver of heart disease. Over time, high blood sugar also damages blood vessels, accelerates aging, and fuels chronic inflammation. The science is not subtle about this. Organizations like the American Heart Association consistently warn about excessive added sugar intake and its link to cardiovascular disease. This isn't wellness hype, it's data. But here's the psychological layer that matters even more. Sugar is engineered to hook you. It stimulates dopamine, the same neurotransmitter involved in reward and addiction. The more you eat, the more your brain craves. It becomes a loop. Stress, sugar, temporary relief. Crash, repeat. And because the crash feels uncomfortable, fatigue, irritability, brain fog, you reach for more. That cycle keeps you stuck. Philosophically, this is about impulse versus intention. Are you eating sugar because your body needs it, or because your brain wants stimulation? Most cravings last minutes. The metabolic consequences last years. And here's the hard truth. Energy from sugar is borrowed energy. It's a short-term spike that demands long-term repayment. With interest, stable energy, Clear thinking, steady mood, those come from balanced blood sugar, not from chasing the next sweet hit. I'm not asking you to eliminate joy. I'm asking you to become conscious, read labels, notice patterns, pay attention to how you feel after you eat. When you reduce added sugar, even slightly, you will feel the difference in your focus, your hunger control, your sleep, your resilience. The real power move isn't resisting dessert once, it's breaking the cycle. Because the moment you stop feeding the spike, you start protecting your future. Now let's zoom out beyond sugar and look at the bigger category that's quietly shaping modern disease: ultra-processed food. I'm not talking about food that's simply cooked or frozen. I'm talking about products engineered in factories, formulated with additives, artificial flavors, preservatives, refined oils, emulsifiers, and chemical stabilizers designed to maximize shelf life and hyper-palatability. These are not foods your grandparents would recognize. They are industrial creations, research from institutions like Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health has repeatedly linked high consumption of ultra-processed foods with increased risk of obesity, cardiovascular disease, and early mortality. That's not dramatic language. That's epidemiological reality. Here's why this matters. Ultra-processed foods are built to override your natural satiety signals. They're soft, easy to chew, rapidly absorbed, and often stripped of fiber and micronutrients. That combination allows you to consume more calories faster, before your body has time to register fullness. You don't feel satisfied. You feel stimulated. And stimulation is addictive. Psychologically, these foods are designed to reduce friction. They require no preparation, no planning, no patience. In a world that rewards speed, convenience becomes seductive. But convenience has a cost. When most of your diet comes from packages instead of whole ingredients, you gradually lose your relationship with real nourishment. There's also something philosophical happening here. When we consistently choose engineered food over natural food, we outsource our health to corporations whose primary obligation is profit, not longevity. That's not a conspiracy. It's economics. The goal is repeat purchase, not cellular repair. Ultra-processed foods also tend to be high in refined carbohydrates, unhealthy fats, and sodium, creating a perfect storm for inflammation and metabolic dysfunction. Chronic inflammation isn't loud. It's quiet, systemic, and cumulative. It builds beneath the surface for years before it shows up as a diagnosis. The shift I'm asking you to consider isn't extreme. It's intentional. Shop the perimeter of the grocery store more often than the aisles. Choose ingredients over products. If it has a long ingredient list you can't pronounce, pause. Ask why. This isn't about fear. It's about awareness and ownership. Because every time you choose real food over manufactured food, you send a clear message: my health is not negotiable. And that decision, repeated daily, becomes the architecture of a longer life. And now we need to talk about something that often makes people uncomfortable: processed meat, sausages, hot dogs, bacon, deli slices. For many people, these foods are tied to culture, convenience, and comfort. They're quick, they're familiar, they taste good. But here's the issue: what feels normal isn't always harmless. The World Health Organization has classified processed meat as a Group 1 carcinogen, meaning there is strong evidence linking it to cancer, particularly colorectal cancer. That classification puts it in the same evidence category as tobacco, not because it carries the same level of risk, but because the strength of the scientific evidence is solid. Why? Because processed meats often contain nitrates and nitrites used for preservation and color. When cooked at high temperatures or digested, these compounds can form substances that damage cells lining the colon. Add to that high sodium content and saturated fats, and you have a combination that increases blood pressure, strains the cardiovascular system, and promotes inflammation. But let's step back from the chemistry. The deeper question is this: how often are you choosing convenience over consequence? Processed meats are the definition of effortless protein. No preparation, No cooking skill required. Just open the package and eat. And in a fast-paced world, that's attractive. But just like we discussed with sugar and ultra-processed foods, the body keeps score, even when you don't. There's also a psychological comfort factor. These foods are nostalgic. They remind us of childhood breakfasts, barbecues, social gatherings. So when someone challenges them, it can feel personal. But this isn't about guilt. It's about frequency and awareness. Longevity is rarely destroyed by one decision. It's shaped by patterns. If processed meat is an occasional indulgence, that's one thing. If it's a daily staple, that's another. The shift isn't about deprivation. It's about upgrading. Lean proteins, legumes, fish, whole food sources of nutrition provide what your body needs without the same biological cost. Here's the truth. Your future health is being negotiated in small, repeated choices. And the real power lies in asking yourself, before the next bite, am I feeding familiarity or am I feeding my future?